Have you ever felt a gnawing emptiness inside? A persistent whisper that tells you something vital is missing, something you've sacrificed without even realizing it? Imagine, for a moment, a young woman named Alara, whose life, from the outside, appeared to be a tapestry woven with threads of success and harmony. She was the quintessential good daughter, the diligent student, the supportive friend, the accommodating partner. Every step she took was guided by an unseen hand, a silent command to prioritize the comfort and expectations of others. Her days were a carefully orchestrated performance, each smile a practiced gesture, each opinion a softened echo of what she believed others wished to hear. This isn't just a story about Alara. It's about the subtle, insidious ways we are often taught to diminish our authentic selves, to swallow our souls in bite-sized pieces until we barely recognize the original essence. Alara's earliest memories were steeped in the unspoken lessons of conformity. Her mother, a woman of profound grace and quiet strength, inadvertently taught her that peace was synonymous with pliability. "A lady always puts others first, Alara," she'd say, a gentle hand resting on Alara's shoulder, a warmth that was both comforting and subtly constricting. Her father, a man of rigid principles, valued order above all else. Disagreement was a disruption, a crack in the carefully constructed facade of family unity. Young Alara quickly learned that her fiery spirit, her burgeoning individuality, was best kept hidden, tucked away like a forbidden toy. She saw the fleeting look of disapproval in her father's eyes when she voiced an opinion contrary to his, the subtle tightening of her mother's lips when she asserted a desire that didn't align with family plans. These weren't harsh reprimands, but rather the quiet, persistent drip of conditioning, shaping her like soft clay. As she navigated adolescence, this self-erasure became a reflex. In friendships, Alara was the confidant who never truly shared her own struggles, the friend who always yielded to the group's desires, even when her own heart yearned for something different. She wore the mask of the agreeable, the amiable, the easygoing. The cost, however, was a growing internal chasm. Each time she suppressed a genuine emotion, a true desire, a piece of her vibrant inner world dimmed. She'd observe her peers, loud and unapologetically themselves, and a pang of something akin to envy, yet tinged with a strange fear, would ripple through her. What if she were to unleash that unbridled self? Would she be loved? Would she be accepted? The fear of rejection, a primal wound, kept her tethered to the familiar shores of self-denial. University brought a fleeting hope of liberation. Away from the immediate gaze of her family, Alara experimented with small acts of rebellion. She joined a debate club, drawn to the intellectual sparring, the opportunity to articulate her thoughts without fear of reprisal. For a brief, exhilarating period, she felt the stirring of her authentic voice. But the years of conditioning ran deep. When a fellow debater, a charismatic young man named Leo, began to show interest, Alara quickly reverted to her familiar patterns. Leo, drawn to her quiet intelligence, also appreciated her agreeable nature. He would often express his opinions with fervent conviction, and Alara, without conscious thought, would find herself nodding in agreement, her own nascent thoughts receding into the background. She discovered that being easy to be with was a powerful currency in relationships, a way to secure affection and avoid conflict. Their relationship deepened, and Alara's internal landscape became increasingly barren. Leo, unbeknownst to him, became a mirror reflecting her own ingrained patterns. He loved her calm demeanor, her lack of drama, her willingness to accommodate. He saw her as a peaceful harbor, a stark contrast to the turbulent relationships he'd witnessed. And Alara, desperate for love and validation, clung to this perception, even as it suffocated her true self. She found herself excusing his occasional thoughtlessness, downplaying her own needs, and constantly anticipating his desires. Her internal dialogue became a relentless loop of "what does he want? How can I make him happy? What will keep the peace?" The vibrant colors of her soul began to fade, replaced by a monochrome palette of self-sacrifice. One particularly poignant evening, they were at a gallery, standing before a vibrant, abstract painting. Leo, a budding art enthusiast, launched into a passionate monologue about its meaning, its symbolism, its impact. Alara listened, nodding, offering appreciative murmurs. But inside, a different interpretation was unfolding, a resonance with the wild, untamed brushstrokes that spoke to a suppressed part of her. She yearned to articulate it, to share her unique perspective, but the words caught in her throat. She saw the joy on Leo's face as he expounded, and a wave of resignation washed over her. Why disrupt his happiness with her own dissenting view? It was a small moment, easily overlooked, yet it was a profound illustration of the cumulative cost of swallowing one's soul. Each unexpressed thought, each stifled emotion, was a brick in the wall she was building around herself, isolating her from her own inner world. This gradual self-effacement, a common thread in human experience, speaks to the psychological concept of the persona, as described by Carl Jung. The persona is the mask we wear, the public face we present to the world, often shaped by societal expectations and the desire for acceptance. While a healthy persona allows us to navigate social interactions effectively, Alara's persona had become overdeveloped, consuming her authentic self. She was living not as Alara, but as the agreeable reflection of what she believed others wanted her to be. This is further exacerbated by principles of operant conditioning, where her agreeable behaviors were reinforced by positive attention and the avoidance of negative consequences, essentially shaping her into a compliant individual. The absence of negative feedback for self-suppression and the presence of positive feedback for conformity created a powerful behavioral loop. Alara's journey, however, is not one of perpetual quietude. The very act of suppressing one's soul creates a potent shadow, a repository of unacknowledged desires, emotions, and aspects of the self. This unaddressed shadow inevitably seeks expression, often manifesting as quiet resentment, passive aggression, or a profound sense of emptiness. For Alara, this manifested as a growing melancholic weight, a feeling of being perpetually adrift, despite her outwardly successful life. It is crucial to understand that true connection, genuine intimacy, cannot flourish in the absence of authenticity. You, too, may find echoes of Alara's story in your own life. Have you, perhaps, silenced your voice to maintain peace, or twisted your desires to fit another's mold? The path to healing begins with recognizing these patterns, these subtle acts of self-betrayal. It demands a courageous confrontation with the parts of yourself you have hidden away, the desires you have denied. Begin by listening to that quiet whisper within, the one that remembers the vibrant soul you were meant to be. What small, brave step can you take today to reclaim a piece of your authentic self? It might be expressing a genuine opinion, setting a gentle boundary, or simply acknowledging a feeling you've long suppressed. Your soul is not meant to be swallowed. It is meant to shine. The story of Alara, and perhaps your own reflections, illuminates a crucial truth. The suppression of our authentic selves often stems from an unconscious pact we make with the world, trading our inner freedom for external acceptance. Yet, what happens when this carefully constructed facade, this agreeable persona, begins to crack under the weight of its own artifice? How does one reclaim the very essence that has been systematically diminished? This brings us to the profound psychological insight that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. A timeless wisdom often attributed to Carl Jung. Alara's journey, her quiet descent into self-erasure, was precisely this unconscious direction, a fate she was unknowingly weaving for herself. Let's delve deeper into this powerful assertion, for it holds the key to understanding the profound impact of unexamined psychological patterns. Jung's concept of the unconscious is not merely a dark attic where forgotten memories gather dust. It is a dynamic, living force, a vast reservoir of instincts, archetypes, and repressed experiences that profoundly shape our perceptions, reactions, and relationships. For Alara, the unconscious belief that her worth was contingent upon her pliability, instilled through childhood experiences and reinforced by societal norms, became an invisible puppeteer. She wasn't consciously deciding to sacrifice her desires. Rather, this deep-seated programming dictated her responses, her choices, and ultimately her sense of self. Consider the intricate dance of projection, another Jungian concept, at play in Alera's relationship with Leo. When we fail to integrate aspects of our own shadow, those undesirable or unacknowledged parts of ourselves, we often project them onto others. Perhaps Alera, in her unwavering agreeableness, projected her own unexpressed assertiveness or anger onto others, fearing its emergence within herself. Conversely, she might have projected her longing for authentic expression onto those around her, admiring their freedom while denying her own. Leo, in turn, might have unconsciously projected an idealized image of peace and harmony onto Alera, an image she then felt compelled to uphold, further entrenching her self-suppression. This intricate interplay of projection creates a closed loop, where both individuals are reacting to their internal landscapes rather than engaging with the true person before them. Moreover, the principles of cognitive dissonance, a concept popularized by Leon Festinger, offer another lens through which to view Alera's struggle. When her internal yearning for authenticity clashed with her external behaviors of conformity, a state of psychological discomfort arose. To alleviate this dissonance, Alera unconsciously chose the path of least resistance. She rationalized her self-sacrifice, convincing herself that her happiness was intertwined with Leo's, or that peace at any cost was a noble pursuit. This internal justification became a powerful mechanism for maintaining the illusion of harmony, even as her inner world fractured. The discomfort of confronting her own needs, of challenging the established dynamic, was perceived as far greater than the quiet pain of self-abandonment. B.F. Skinner's work on operant conditioning, while often associated with external behaviors, also provides a framework for understanding the internal reinforcement of these patterns. Alera's agreeable responses were repeatedly positively reinforced by Leo's approval, by the absence of conflict, and by the perceived stability of her relationships. This continuous reinforcement cemented the neural pathways associated with self-suppression, making it an automatic, almost instinctual response. Conversely, any nascent attempts at self-assertion likely met with subtle forms of negative reinforcement, perhaps a slight tension, a fleeting frown, or an uncomfortable silence, which discouraged such behaviors. Over time, her internal reward system became wired to prioritize external validation over internal authenticity. The profound impact of early childhood experiences, eloquently articulated by Jean Piaget's stages of cognitive development and Erik Erikson's psychosocial stages, cannot be overstated in Alera's narrative. While Piaget focused on intellectual development, the environment in which that development occurs profoundly shapes one's schema, the mental frameworks through which we interpret the world. Alera's early schemas were built on the premise that her value lay in her adaptability, her ability to fit seamlessly into the expectations of her caregivers. Erikson's stage of trust versus mistrust in infancy and later autonomy versus shame and doubt in early childhood are critical. If a child's attempts at asserting their will are met with consistent disapproval or shame, they may learn to mistrust their own impulses and doubt their innate capacity for independent action. Alera's experiences, though subtle, likely fostered an underlying sense of shame around her authentic impulses, reinforcing the belief that her true self was somehow wrong or disruptive. This leads us to the critical concept of individuation, a central pillar of Jungian psychology. Individuation is the process by which an individual becomes a whole, undivided self, integrating conscious and unconscious aspects of their personality. It's a journey of self-discovery, of shedding the false layers of the persona and embracing the entirety of one's being, including the often feared shadow. For Alera, the pain of her increasing emptiness, the dull ache in her soul, was the unconscious signaling that the process of individuation was being neglected. The path forward demands a conscious turning inward, an archaeological excavation of the buried self. Consider the profound questions that emerge from this analysis. What unexamined beliefs, inherited or absorbed from your environment, might be silently directing your life? What parts of your authentic self have you relegated to the shadow, fearing their expression? The journey to reclaim your soul is not about dismantling all your personas. It's about consciously choosing which masks serve you and which obscure your light. It's about integrating your shadow, acknowledging its existence, and understanding its impulses without judgment. True power lies not in being agreeable at all costs, but in the courage to stand in your authentic truth, even when it's uncomfortable. This inner revolution, this profound act of self-love, is the ultimate reclamation of your inherent worth. The narrative of Alara's journey, marked by the gradual erosion of her authentic self, inevitably leads us to a pivotal question. How does one, having been taught to swallow their soul, reclaim its vibrant essence? This crucial turning point often arrives not with a grand revelation, but with a quiet, persistent yearning, a subtle rebellion of the spirit against the confines of conformity. It's a moment encapsulated by the wisdom of Albert Bandura, whose social learning theory profoundly illustrates how much of our behavior is learned through observation and imitation, and conversely, how we can unlearn limiting patterns. If we are conditioned to diminish ourselves, we also possess the capacity to model new behaviors, to observe and emulate self-empowerment. Alara's awakening began subtly, like the first tentative shoots of spring after a long, cold winter. The quiet dissatisfaction that had long simmered beneath her agreeable exterior finally began to demand attention. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic outburst, but a series of small internal shifts. She started noticing the pang of resentment when her preferences were consistently overlooked, the dull ache in her chest when she laughed at a joke that didn't genuinely amuse her. These weren't fleeting emotions. They were persistent whispers from her long-suppressed shadow, urging her to acknowledge what she had denied. This nascent awareness is often the first, most crucial step towards individuation, the lifelong process of integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of the self to become a whole, unique individual. One rainy afternoon, while scrolling through old photographs, Alara stumbled upon an image of herself as a young girl, no older than 7, her face smudged with paint, a mischievous grin plastered across her lips. In her hand, she clutched a brush, poised over a brightly colored, utterly abstract canvas. The sheer, unadulterated joy in her eyes struck her with the force of a physical blow. Where was that girl? What had become of that fearless, uninhibited spirit? A wave of profound sadness washed over her, followed by a flicker of fierce determination. This wasn't merely nostalgia. It was a confrontation with the vibrant self she had unwittingly abandoned. This internal revelation was followed by a series of external catalysts, small but significant disruptions to her carefully constructed world. A casual remark from a colleague, praising her adaptability, with a subtle undertone that suggested a lack of personal conviction, pricked at her. Later, during a family gathering, an argument erupted where Alara, as usual, played the mediator, stifling her own opinions to appease both sides. But this time, instead of the familiar sense of accomplishment at having maintained peace, a deep, unsettling hollowness settled within her. She observed the animated faces of her family members, each passionately defending their perspectives, and for the first time, truly grasped the cost of her perpetual neutrality. She realized that true connection wasn't about avoiding friction. It was about the authentic exchange of selves, even if it meant occasional disagreement. This realization led her to a quiet, often uncomfortable process of self-inquiry, echoing the tenets of Carl Rogers's person-centered therapy. Rogers emphasized the importance of unconditional positive regard and empathy in fostering personal growth. While these are typically applied in a therapeutic context, Alara began to apply them to herself. She started extending unconditional positive regard to the parts of herself she had long judged as too much or not enough. She began to listen to her inner voice with empathy, rather than silencing it with self-criticism. This internal shift allowed her to identify the deep-seated fears that had driven her self-suppression. The fear of rejection, the fear of not being loved, the fear of loneliness. She recognized that her agreeableness was a shield, a protective mechanism that had, paradoxically, kept her from truly connecting with others and with herself. Her first conscious act of rebellion was small, almost imperceptible to others. Leo asked her what she wanted for dinner, a question she usually answered with, "Whatever you'd like." This time, a fleeting image of that paint-splashed girl flashed in her mind. "I actually have a craving for something spicy tonight," she heard herself say, the words feeling foreign yet exhilarating on her tongue. Leo looked surprised, then smiled. "Spicy it is," he said, and the simplicity of his acceptance was a powerful balm to her wounded soul. It was a minuscule step, but it marked a monumental shift in her internal landscape. This was self-efficacy in action. As theorized by Bandura, the belief in one's capacity to execute behaviors necessary to produce specific performance attainments. Each small act of authentic expression built her confidence, strengthening her belief that she could indeed navigate the world as her true self. Alara began to integrate principles of Stoicism into her daily life. She recognized that while she couldn't control the opinions or reactions of others, she could absolutely control her own responses and perceptions. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, urging one to focus on what is within their power, resonated deeply. She started observing her automatic people-pleasing impulses without immediately acting on them, creating a crucial space for conscious choice. This practice allowed her to detach from the immediate need for external validation, understanding that her worth was not dependent on another's approval. She learned to embrace the discomfort of setting boundaries, realizing that temporary awkwardness was a small price to pay for the profound peace of authenticity. The journey of reclaiming one's soul is not a straight path. It is often winding, fraught with moments of doubt and occasional retreats into old patterns. Yet, each conscious step, each quiet act of self-assertion, builds momentum. Alara discovered the profound liberation that comes from acknowledging her own needs, her own desires, and her own voice. This process of deep psychological excavation is not about becoming selfish. It's about becoming whole. It's about understanding that your authentic self is not a burden to others, but a gift. When you allow your true essence to emerge, you not only heal yourself, but you also invite deeper, more genuine connections into your life. The world yearns for your unique song, not a muffled echo. The profound beauty of this transformation lies in its ripple effect. When you stop swallowing your soul, you model authenticity for others, consciously or unconsciously giving them permission to do the same. This isn't just a personal victory, it's a quiet revolution. You are not meant to be a faint whisper in your own life. You are meant to be the vibrant, resounding chorus. What small, courageous act can you commit today to amplify your own unique melody? It might be expressing an unpopular opinion, honoring a personal boundary, or simply allowing yourself to feel an emotion you've long suppressed. This is the sacred work of self-reclamation, a testament to the resilient power of the human spirit. The path to reclaiming a swallowed soul is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a profound journey into the very architecture of our emotional being. We have explored how the unconscious dictates much of our lives and how the societal pressures to conform can gradually erode our authentic selves. Now, we arrive at the culmination, the profound release and rebirth that occurs when the fractured pieces of the self begin to knit back together. This final, transformative stage of individuation, the process of becoming a whole, undifferentiated person, is a testament to the resilient, inherent drive within each of us to live authentically. Consider the story of Julian, a man whose life mirrored Alara's in its quiet self-abandonment, but with a different set of pressures. Julian was the eldest son in a family that revered intellectual prowess and logical precision. From a young age, his emotional expressions were subtly dismissed as irrational or weak. "Control your feelings, Julian," his father would often say, his voice devoid of malice, yet carrying the weight of an unspoken expectation. Julian learned to intellectualize his pain, to analyze his emotions rather than feel them. His sensitive, artistic spirit, a vibrant part of his innate self, was relegated to the shadow, a hidden realm of unacknowledged desires and unexpressed creativity. He pursued a demanding career in finance, excelling in a world that valued cold, hard numbers over the nuanced complexities of human emotion. His relationships, though seemingly stable, often felt devoid of true intimacy, a constant mirroring of his own emotional guardedness. He was living a life that was objectively successful, yet profoundly devoid of joy. Julian's breaking point came not with a dramatic crisis, but with a quiet, insidious spread of anxiety that began to creep into every corner of his carefully constructed life. The relentless mental chatter, the constant striving for perfection, the emotional suppression, all culminated in a pervasive sense of dread. He found himself waking in the dead of night, heart pounding, a nameless fear clutching at his throat. This was his shadow demanding recognition, the long-ignored emotional landscape crying out for attention. This experience underscores the insights of William James, the father of American psychology, who emphasized the importance of conscious experience and the flow of thought. Julian's anxiety was a direct result of his conscious efforts to deny a significant portion of his inner experience, creating a disjunction between his true self and his lived reality. One evening, staring blankly at a complex spreadsheet, a memory surfaced with startling clarity. He was a boy of 10, sitting by a sun-drenched window, meticulously sketching the intricate patterns of a spiderweb. His mother had gently praised his drawing, but his father had remarked, "That's nice, Julian, but wouldn't you rather be building something practical?" The innocent comment, absorbed by his impressionable young mind, had cemented the belief that his artistic pursuits were trivial, a distraction from the real work of being a man. This seemingly innocuous moment had been a pivotal lesson in B.F. Skinner's principles of reinforcement. His creative impulses were effectively extinguished by the lack of positive reinforcement and the subtle suggestion of inadequacy. This realization ignited a slow-burning fuse within Julian. He began to explore, tentatively at first, the very emotions he had spent a lifetime suppressing. He started with journaling, a clumsy, often painful attempt to articulate the feelings that had no words. He read voraciously about emotional intelligence, about trauma and healing, recognizing the echoes of his own journey in the experiences of others. This intellectual pursuit slowly paved the way for emotional engagement. He sought out a therapist, a woman who, unlike his family, offered unconditional positive regard, echoing the core tenets of Carl Rogers. She didn't offer solutions. She offered a safe space for Julian to simply be, to feel, to process the tidal wave of emotions he had long denied. Through this process, Julian began to engage in what Jung termed shadow work. He confronted the buried sadness, the unexpressed anger, the deep-seated fear of being seen as weak. He learned that these emotions, far from being liabilities, were powerful indicators, messengers from his authentic self. He started taking small, deliberate steps to reintroduce creativity into his life. He bought a sketchbook, hesitant at first, but slowly, the lines began to flow, the colors to emerge. He realized that the same meticulous attention he applied to financial models could be channeled into the nuanced beauty of a charcoal drawing. The transformation was not instantaneous, nor was it without struggle. There were days when the old patterns reasserted themselves, when the urge to retreat into intellectual analysis was overwhelming. But with each act of conscious choice, each deliberate embrace of his emotional landscape, Julian felt a profound shift. He started setting boundaries in his relationships, not aggressively, but with quiet conviction. He began to express his true preferences, even if they differed from others. The anxiety, once a constant companion, began to recede, replaced by a burgeoning sense of inner peace. This wasn't the peace of emotional suppression. It was the robust, vibrant peace of integration, of a soul no longer at war with itself. He learned that the strength he had always sought externally resided within, in the courage to be vulnerable, to be whole. This radical act of self-acceptance is the very essence of true empowerment, a testament to the human capacity for growth and self-renewal, as championed by Albert Bandura's concept of self-efficacy. Julian built a new self-image, one not based on societal expectations but on his own authentic unfolding. His journey culminates in a powerful lesson for us all. The climax of self-reclamation is not about conquering your weaknesses, but about embracing your totality. It's about understanding that the very things you were taught to suppress, your emotions, your unique quirks, your dissenting opinions, are the raw materials of your strength, the vibrant colors of your soul. When you stop swallowing your soul, you liberate not only yourself but also those around you, allowing for more authentic and deeply fulfilling connections. This inner rebirth is a courageous act of self-love, a rebellion against the limiting beliefs that have held you captive. It is the journey from fragmentation to wholeness, from a life dictated by external validation to one illuminated by internal truth. Perhaps you, too, have felt the silent ache of a swallowed soul, the gentle hum of a suppressed desire. Know this: your authentic self is waiting, patient and eager to emerge. Your worth is not earned through conformity. It is inherent. The peace you seek is not found in external harmony, but in the internal integration of all your parts. Step into the stillness within, listen to the whispers of your intuition, and begin the courageous journey of reclaiming your vibrant truth. This is your life, and your soul is a masterpiece waiting to be unveiled. If you found this reflection resonating with your own experiences, or if you recognize someone who might benefit from this message, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to our channel, and sharing this video. Your engagement helps us reach more hearts in need. Thank you for watching. The end.